Assalamu alaikum class. Today lecture will be about post-structuralism, and as I have told you that I will explain my own notes which I have been written for your convenience and for you all to understand the topic more better. What is actually post-structuralism? Post-structuralism is a late 20th century movement both in the study of philosophy and literary criticism. It can be defined as the opposition to the popular structuralist movement. Actually, post-structuralism has been introduced as an opposition of the structuralist movement, which was first introduced in France in 1950 and in 1960. Post-structuralism deconstruct or opposed the Saussure concept of signs and symbols. Actually, inshallah, I will explain about the Saussure signs and symbols lecture and what is actually the signs and symbol concept of Ferdinand de Saussure. But in this, I will just tell you the surface meaning about it is that Saussure concept of sign and notion of structures or signs or symbols are totally different or opposed of post-structuralist movement. Ferdinand de Saussure concept of signs and symbols is actually tells us about that the world is structurally formed and meaning does not lie in an isolation. Ferdinand de Saussure sign and symbols book or lecture totally based that everything in this world, everything that belongs to this world or everything that is present in this world actually has its own uniformed structure, and the meaning of each object or the meaning of everything lies within this structure. This was actually the basic concept of Ferdinand de Saussure signs and symbols. But post-structuralism actually developed the concept that meaning is nowhere related, but every signifier leads us to another signifier. The concept of signifier and signified was also has been discussed in a de Saussure lectures of signs and symbols. I will tell you that later, but again I'm just relating it to the post-structuralist concept or movement. Post-structuralist actually believes that meaning does not lie with a specific structure or a specific framework. Every signifier has a different meaning according to the perception of an reader. Every signifier gives the meaning according to the perception, according to the understanding, according to the background experience of the reader. For example, you could understand this through example of red color. If the signifier red color actually could mean a danger to someone, it could also mean a love, a color, a courage, or a sacrifice to someone. It depends on the experience of that specific person about that specific signifier. Post-structuralism claims that interpretation of a text is totally dependent on the reader's own self-concept, reader's own perception. As I have told you earlier, an author meaning is secondary to the meaning that readers perceives. It actually means that though it does not matter the meaning which the author want to convey, but it does matter the meaning which the readers perceive, which the readers understand while reading that text. Okay, major post-structuralist, actually the post-structuralist major, the biggest post-structuralist were Jacques Derrida, Ronald Barthes and Mickel Faucult. Derrida, in one of his lectures, Structure, Sign and Play, he in the Discourse of Human Sciences, he basically described the theoretical limitation of structuralism, that how the structuralism has been limited, and presented new theory against it, that is post-structuralism. Ronald Barthes argues in his book The Death of the Author that any literary text has multiple meaning and the author is not the prime source of semantic content, which we have discussed earlier. In Ronald Barthes, The Death of the Authors, he had discussed the same thing, that the author does not have any connection with the textual meaning, but rather it is the readers who perceive the meaning. It is the readers who brings out the meaning out of a text. Barth gives the concept of meta language against the science system of any language, which means beyond language or second language, which is used to interpret the first order language. This means that actually it's the first language which just helps to interpret or to the interpretation of the second language. The author, the text just help to understand the readers, and the secondary and most important meaning is actually the reader's language, which is important, which can be counted as the actual meaning, not the first language or the language of author. Furthermore, Ronald Barthes has introduced the 5 basic codes of any text, which he claimed that any text or any reader could interpret the text according to these 5 codes, which is first is periodic code. Periodic code are those texts which initiated or which depicted action. Hermeneutic code, the hermeneutic code are the text which is totally based on puzzles, or which meanings is totally based on puzzles. Semantic code, as it is shown by its name, that this code refer to the parts within text that refer to additional meaning. The semantic meaning of the text, how the text depict the meaning, how the text itself shows the meaning. So in semantic code we actually discuss that sort of meaning. The fourth is symbolic meaning. Through symbolism, through symbolism a reader excrete out the meanings that is known as symbolic code. Referential code is when several references has been used in the text, and the author or the reader interpret the text while looking to those references. That those references could be scientific, those could be historical, and those could be cultural knowledge. So it depends on the author experience, and it depends on the author perception, understanding how the author excrete out the meanings according to that specific text. Okay, my lectures ends over here. If you have any question, or if you want me to discuss or give a lecture on a specific topic, kindly share it in a comment box.